Hi, my name is Joe Johnson, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, I have used Michael Pink's training, education, his insight, and his counsel in my businesses now for almost 2 decades. I first met Michael back in 2002 when I owned a Christian business magazine. And at that time, we were looking for the best business content as it related to sales, and several of our staff members recommended Michael. Upon reading his articles, I just remember loving it immediately. He was able to take some deep biblical truths and apply it so practically to our day-to-day business world, specifically in the realm of sales. And as a matter of fact, I loved his material so much that while I was in the middle of negotiating a strategic partnership deal to publish Success Magazine, I remember that I typed up a final negotiation email where I incorporated over 30 biblical persuasion principles into the actual body of that email. And these were principles that Michael had pulled out of this small book in the Bible called Philemon. It was a long email, and I'm not saying I necessarily recommend that method of negotiations now, but after I applied those 30 principles, I can tell you it got the job done. I was able to secure the deal after that email and ultimately publish Success Magazine. That allowed me to be able to take Success Magazine out of bankruptcy and bring it back into the market and ultimately help sell it years later for millions of dollars. Several years later, I ended up buying a distressed educational company that focused on real estate investors. This company was insolvent and on the verge of collapse. It owed another company a lot of money. It had never made money, but it had decent revenue. So upon acquiring that company, I asked Michael to investigate the sales department and see if there were any recommendations on how we could improve our sales and our profitability. So the first thing he did was dramatically improve some of our conversion rates for the educational events using his innovative strategies that he introduced while I focus on other areas of the company. But the bottom line is that year that business went from being insolvent and not being able to pay its creditors that after we took over, within probably 4 or 5 months, it was completely current with all its creditors. And over that year, it did over $30 million in revenue and $6 million in profit. Then, fast forward even a few years later, in 2014, I decided to start a new business. It's an innovative real estate brokerage services company specializing in the nonprofit area. The name of the company is Wealthfont. I remember in 2014 making the plans for this company, and 2015 we were rolling. But by the June of 2015, the company was having problems. I had an executive team. I had a president running the company, and I was considering shutting it down because the new venture just really wasn't going as I had hoped for. And we were down to 3 demoralized agents, and they were all looking for another job. So it was a very critical time, and I remember I contacted Michael again, and I asked him to do one of his 3-day on-site business assessments that he has done for me in different businesses over the years. And he did, and he agreed to, and he came and he did his analysis. And based on his analysis and some of my findings, we agreed that the startup still had potential, but maybe with a different management team and some changes. And I just remember asking Michael what he thought would happen if we both came into the office every day for 6 months. That was asking a lot from Michael, but he agreed. And I just wanted to know if he thought that working together we could turn it around. And so we agreed that he would be responsible for sales over those 6 months, and I would be responsible for the other areas of the business. We just want to see what would happen because neither him or I were really that involved until that point. So we talked about it, and the challenge of turning around was too big of an idea to resist. We put our shoulders to the tasks, and 6 months later, we had a multi-million-dollar profitable business, and revenues had absolutely skyrocketed. So naturally, looking out maybe for my interest a little bit, I asked if Michael would consider helping me for another year, which I know was a big ask. And he agreed and grew the sales force. And that year we increased revenues by, I think, over 6,000% over a 2-year period. I managed the other areas of the business, and he really focused on sales. During this time, he introduced the sales team to his very unique way of selling. He calls it supernatural selling. It's completely biblically based. And in the process of helping the salespeople get a hold of his system, he was able to lead several of them to a life with Jesus. And Michael continued to help grow our sales efforts. And the end result was that this company that I almost closed down a few years ago went from nothing to the fastest growing real estate brokerage company in the history of the Inc. 5000. It had over 11,000% 3-year revenue growth rate, and Inc. magazine ranked it in 2018 as the number 16 fastest growing privately held business in all of the U.S. In that same year, Entrepreneur magazine ranked Wealthfront as the best entrepreneurial real estate brokerage in America and number 20 overall the privately held businesses. And only one other business in the U.S. made the top 50 on both of those prestigious lists. And although Michael is now focused on, really turning the sum total of all that God has given him for the business arena into online training courses so he can help even more people discover the wisdom of God as it pertains to sales and business, it is absolutely undeniable that Wealthfront would not have gotten here without the work and training of Michael Pink. So, through the various startups, the turnarounds of distressed businesses, I have more times than I can remember called upon Michael for counsel. He would bring not only counsel, he would bring wisdom, and he would bring the Spirit of God into the situation and help me get through some of the inevitable challenges that come with tremendous growth or acquiring a distressed business. It was not just sales, but whatever issues that I was dealing with, whether business or personal. In my opinion, not only is Michael capable of inspiring, leading, training salespeople, but he's the best entrepreneur and CEO coach I could ever hope to have. And I'm going to continue to call upon him and his counsel in whatever new venture I find myself in. And I can't stress strongly enough that if you want to grow your sales, if you want to grow your business, you need to get a hold of anything and everything Michael's offering. He has over 40 years of successful learning, applying, and coaching others in the area of sales and business practices. Not just things that are nice, and there's a nice principle to them, and you feel good about it. But really, he helps people really multiply their sales efforts and not have incremental growth. And he has helped me tremendously. So over the years, I have invested a lot of money to tap into the deposit of wisdom God has given Michael. I have reaped millions and millions from my investment. I'm a big believer in Proverbs chapter 4 and chapter 8, where Solomon says, get wisdom, get understanding. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. He says, wisdom is more precious than anything you can buy. Nothing you desire can compare with her. So, even though I must say I haven't always made the wisest choices in business, I can say I have pursued God's wisdom and understanding with all of my heart. And a big part of that was what I have learned from Michael. And it has paid more than I could have ever imagined. So, I highly recommend that if you have the opportunity to be mentored by Michael, that you don't pass it up. I'm telling you, you will not regret it.